Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, hello and welcome. I'm your host today, Dom the Expert of Calls from VTU Gaming, and we are playing today Prime World. Prime World is a new MOBA style game from Russian-based company. Really interesting so far. I've been playing a little bit and mainly going through the tutorial sections, but so far I'm really liking it. It's really different, in all honesty, because it has aspects like League of Legends, like Dota, like Heroes of New Earth, but it's trying to combine MOBA with Facebook-style gameplay, where you'll go out, you'll play your games, and then after an elongated period of time, you'll get benefits from your castle and hometown. Like, as you can see at the moment, like, my home continent is not the biggest in the world, and it's not the most produced in the world, so don't get me wrong. But I currently have a farm that's producing food, and the food takes a considerable amount of time. But that is, it's kind of like a Facebook game, like Farmville or whatnot, where you would set your farms to do whatever they need to do, and then after a while you'll come back and be like, oh, I can now farm my stuff. Which is quite interesting. It has a little bit of things like that. And today I hope to show you guys what the game's about, show you a little bit more of the gameplay, and see if you like Prime World, because it's a different take on the MOBA structure, and may I note, it is going to be free to play, so keep that in mind. So I will be looking at how it fares against other free to play models of other MOBAs. So without further ado, I think we've seen enough of our castle, even though our castle is looking pretty damn awesome. I'm playing as the Dots Imperium, which are like the technological faction, because you have two factions in this game. The other faction is mostly made up of like monsters, sorcery and stuff like that. Well, these guys are like the mechanical guys, and I love mechs. So, whilst our farm's doing what it's doing, we are going to do this little mission here that we have from Horatio. Oh, I say, sir. Oh my. So yes, let us take on this mission. Let's go to the gate. Now here at the gate, we'll have all our heroes. Some are available, some are not. Heroes you either buy with the money that you can get a hold of, which is your silver, or gold, which is the in-game, which is basically the in-game currency, where you have to spend real-world money in order to get that. But of course, there are quite an abundance of heroes to choose from. At the moment, we just have two. We have Lightning Master, which is actually quite fun. It's like, think of it as 4 on a hover skateboard. It's pretty cool. Or we have, not Thunder,
takes too much training.
We have Jaeger, who rides on a giant wolf by the looks of things. Now I've played quite a bit of Lightning Master, and I think I'm going to challenge myself with
Discipline
Jaeger,
takes too much training.
I'll be interested to see how Jaeger plays out. So, let's do this. Let's pick training, and let's hit play. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that Prime World is currently in an open beta weekend, so I have been having a few issues when recording this with maps, but that could just be literally because it is a beta weekend and they might not have necessarily built the game up for casting reasons or for recording reasons such as this. So that's not the big problem. I was able to record another game with a different hero than I was picking last time, this time playing as Highlander, which you will see more details of at the end of this combat session. So the game really tries to bring a new innovative look into the world of MOBAs, and it truly tries to encompass that as much as possible. One of the things that I do really like about it is the new mechanic of using native terrain. Native terrain is basically, whilst you're in that terrain, you have an advantage over your opponents being on that terrain, and your abilities can have a different, I don't know, like a different feel to them, let's say. Some of your abilities might get stronger, they might have different effects, they might suddenly inflict a slow, or the slow might suddenly turn into a stun, the damage might go up by a percentage. Instead of just summoning, let's say for example, a wolf, you might be able to summon a dire wolf that is slightly more powerful than that variant. It's a nice addition. And how do you expand your native terrain is you use these flags that you have on the map. You need to have the area before you classed as your terrain before you can carry on to the next one, and then your opponents can actively target the flag to take out your native terrain so that you can't benefit from your bonuses, but then they can capture it so that they can benefit from the bonuses. Kind of think of it from a League of Legends standpoint as if they combined Summoner's Rift with Dominion, where you still have to fight towers, you still have to basically get rid of iconic structures whilst fighting heroes, but you also have capture points for bringing a new sense of combat and also a new sense of strategy when going into the game. Because now, do you concentrate on growing your native terrain in order to gather up your bonuses before going in for an attack? Or do you mainly concentrate on taking out the enemy villains before you then start building up your terrain, so you at least have something to fall back on as you proceed? It's something new, it's something different, and to be completely honest with you, it's a nice addition. Very nice addition indeed. One other thing as well that I also found that this particular game is trying to do different in comparison to other MOBAs. Like I said earlier on in the video, it's trying to be a mix between a current age MOBA like League of Legends, like Dota, like Heroes of New Earth, but trying to add the feel and the mechanics of a Facebook style browser game, such as, let's say for example, Farmville. And it also carries across here into the actual combat, because they want to make sure that the combat and the gameplay generally feels fast paced and you don't feel as if you have to take yourself out of a fight in order to gain items, regenerate your health, heal yourself or whatnot. On the fly, you'll basically gain experience, which goes towards buying talents. And when you buy talents, they can be active talents that will actually give you an ability, which can be very devastating, like Highlander's dual sword ability, which is basically at first rank, you're basically able to go to one opponent, slash them, then flash to another opponent and slash them, dealing so much damage. Very nice. But there are other abilities in the talent tree that will either benefit those abilities or will just have passive abilities that passively increase your stats. In this case, in Highlander, if you get abilities that improve your dual sword ability, then you'll go from slashing one opponent to slashing two opponents to slashing 3, 4, and then inflicting slows instead of just dealing base damage. It's a very interesting mechanical look into things, and in all honesty, I really think it is a very good and new addition into the world of MOBAs. Because many other MOBAs that I've seen recently, like Infinite Crisis, which is the DC related one, are really trying to stick to what we know in MOBAs and not trying to really expand and do anything different. Whilst this one is really trying to be different. It's trying to stand out there with a new world, with a new collection of characters that we haven't quite seen before, and with a brand new feel. Combat generally feels much faster than most other MOBAs, because in most other MOBAs you'd be averaging 25 to about 40 minutes in a game, whilst for this one in particular, less than 10 minutes, just about hit 10 minutes in one game, which is pretty darn fast. This is bearing in mind as well, this was in training, so I was basically on PvE. But on the PvE standpoint, I have been talking to a couple of people on the live chat in the game, and they've been saying that the PvP is just as fast, if not slightly faster, than the PvE combat, because you're facing actual people, and if an actual person cocks up, then obviously they die and they get punished, and if you die you have to wait until you get healed and wait until you get resurrected, and then you have to come back into the fray again, and it just generally feels like a much faster paced MOBA. Is it going to be as serious, and is it going to be as high tier as League of Legends or Dota 2 for example? Sadly, I don't think so. This is really trying to be a game for the more casual players who want to experience a MOBA but not really be punished by not knowing like item builds, not knowing how to play as a specific champion, and not having to worry about all those little nitty-gritty things that many MOBAs require you to know right off the get-go. With this one, it is literally a very good entry-level MOBA. And what I mean by that is that you don't necessarily have to worry about all the main mechanical know-how that you would mostly need to know with other MOBAs. And it's a nice introduction. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is bad. It just means that the game is different. Is it good different? Yes, it is. It feels more interesting, it feels more compelling, it generally feels like, for example, if you're playing League of Legends, you'll play probably like 2 or 3 games and then give it a rest. Whilst with this one, I could generally see you playing a good session of like 5, 6, maybe more games, just to pass the time while your castle is generating food, ore, and other resources, so that you generally have something fun to play whilst your castle is doing all the nitty and gritty stuff in the background. Now, like many other MOBAs as well, the game also comes with a jungle, in case you don't want to go in lane and fight towers and fight champions and stuff like that. I don't think they've necessarily recommended it for level 1 players though to start off as a jungler, because I mostly think that this game was constructed for a much easier, probably a lower age group of gamers that might not know how to necessarily do all the really hard jungle tactics like most seasoned MOBA players are. And the jungle just seemed like it doesn't stop you from jungling, but it still doesn't recommend that you jungle if you are new to the game. It simply says that it's here if you wish to do it, or it's here after you are doing so well and you want to get some extra resources, or you're not doing so hot and you need to catch up with your teammates. It's right there for you, which is a good touch. I think the jungle doesn't necessarily have to be like the core in all MOBA style games. It should just be an option. If you wish to go as a jungler, it should give you that option, but if you don't necessarily want to be a jungler and you just want to have a 2-1-2 style lane, then I don't see why not. And the game really rewards you with that, and it gives you options. And the more options, the better. The one thing that I have noticed as well is with some of the heroes on either faction, it's like as if both factions have the same champions but with different names and necessarily different abilities. Like Dragonfly, for example, is like Wyvern Dragon. It's a little bit weird because I'm not sure whether it's a design aspect or whether it's a little bit of laziness, because they generally feel the same. They don't necessarily feel different. They all look and feel the same with a little bit of an aesthetic touch differentiation depending on faction. But that's literally about it. But I haven't got much to complain about the heroes because they all generally feel different, and their ability sets are all very nice to watch and very damage dealing as well. So here we go. Here is the victory screen. A lot of fireworks being fired off. Happy music here, there, and everywhere for everyone to enjoy. Good times indeed. You generally feel as if you've done something great when you see the victory page, which should always be a key thing when you play these games. Then after you've won, you can have a look at what you've gained through rewards, as well as achievements you have gained in the game as well, from anything from like double kills, taking out turrets, taking out people when you're really low on health, and of course you also have your kill-death ratio for guys that also want to look dire into the stats. As we can see here, we did that for the sake of a mission that Horatio gave us, and it was a really good fight. We did our best there, and we came out the winners. And as you can see here, we have a new level, and we have now the 2 level of the castle. We've reached the 2nd level of our castle, basically. And because of that, we now have a new hero available, which is Highlander. Along with a lot of rewards, such as a prime crystal, we've got silver, we've got some wood, we've got some ore, we've got some more food, which is all well and good, which is all good towards helping out our castle grow even bigger.
A glorious victory, my lord. And even better, news of your success is already spreading across the Imperium. The neighboring lands speak of your success on the battlefield, very favorably, I might add. Your newfound fame is a boon to our castle. The greater renown you achieve, the more silver you win when participating in joint campaigns. Plus, some heroes simply will not serve masters of little renown.
And there you go. We now actually have Highlander instead of having to purchase him. Because normally you would have to commit to a certain level of gameplay. Like, for example, you can see in the bottom here, we've got Warlord, for example, who has 3. That means we would have to be level 3 in order to even unlock Warlord in the first place. And then if we wanted to purchase Warlord in order to play as him, we would have to pay 850 silver. You can also pay for heroes with gold, but keep in mind you have to be at that level in order to get that specific hero, so keep that in mind. So as we see here, we've got a new level, now Highlander's level 2. He gets himself healing power too, which gives him health regeneration, and 2 mastery points. Now, an interesting thing is, whenever a hero actually levels up, you can actually improve that hero's stats. Like in this case, I can improve this hero's health, energy, strength and agility, cunning, stamina and will. As you will see here, there are certain stats that have a tick next to them. These ones obviously mean that they are important to this hero, meaning that those are the main stats that you should really consider when you're upgrading them. So in this case, I'm going to put point into health and point into strength to make him that little bit better. Because why not? So, ladies and gentlemen, that is a little look into the world of Prime World. Obviously, it goes way in deeper with how I've been looking into it for the first impressions, but it is a fun, interesting, and new take on a MOBA game. I will tell you that straight up. It puts into consideration more RPG elements than most MOBA titles would. It has some great aspects from classic MOBAs like League of Legends and Dota, but it also brings something new to the table with what many Facebook games are trying to do, with like something that you can earn over time whilst you're going out fighting the battles, whether it be PvE or PvP. I'm liking the interesting new way of how to unlock champions, where you can't just blatantly buy the entire roster at level 1 like you would do in League of Legends. Instead, you would have to generally play the game in order to level yourself up, and then when you reach certain levels, you will be able to purchase certain heroes. That will require a certain amount of silver or gold when you have, obviously, unlocked them, which is pretty damn cool. And as well as that, you also have mini quests you can go on, thanks to the guys at your castle, which just make the game a little bit more interactive, and it also adds an interesting little narrative into what would just be just a standard MOBA game, because not many MOBAs really try to bring narrative into their game, but this one's really trying to bring something different into there, and it's a good feel, in my opinion, a very good feel. So it's currently in beta. I'll personally be looking forward to when it comes out fully. If you want to see more information on Prime World, be sure to check out the Prime World website, which I'll be sure to link in the description below for you guys, and also put on screen for you. But until next time, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this first impressions and first look into the world of Prime World. So what do you guys think about it? Do you really think it is a Prime World to live in? Or do you think it is a world that, well, isn't quite up to par to others out there? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to visit www.videogamesuncovered.com for all your video game related news, reviews and opinionated articles. And until next time, I am Dom the Expert of Coles. Goodbye for the games, goodbye, and we'll be seeing you guys on the battlefield.